Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price, $1 million man. Everybody's got a price, $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price, $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. And of course, I'm joined by the man himself, WWE Hall of Famer, wrestling legend, Ted DiBiase. Ted, thank you so much for being here today.
Marcus, it's always good to be with you, buddy. So where are we going today?
Oh, boy, we've got a fun one today, man.
Okay.
It is our 19th edition of Ask Ted Anything.
Wow.
And I was going through some of these questions from the listeners, and boy, there are some really fun ones here ahead. So can't wait to go over it. I do want to remind folks before we get into them that if you have a question, you can get it on the show by replying to Ted on social media because he posts a prompt for it on his social media. So you can reply there, or maybe the easiest way to do it is to reach out to me on my X account. I'm at Marcus P. D'Angelo on X. You can just reach out to me in my DMs and drop your question there. If it's a question that we haven't answered here before, then I will absolutely put it on the notes. Now, before we do get into the questions, I did also want to give you folks a reminder to get over to our YouTube channel and get subscribed. Ted DiBiase and Hacksaw Jim Duggan are there, and it's the only place where you can listen to Jim Duggan's show, The Hacksaw Hour. We've got a new episode here coming up soon, but we've got a ton of great content there from Jim and Ted. So get over there and get subscribed, because you're not getting the full story behind the story from Ted either unless you're subscribed over there, because there's YouTube exclusive videos that go up there. It's youtube.com/Golden Era Network. Get over there, do yourself a favor, get subscribed. I know you're going to like it. And one last thing, Ted, is that I did want to mention for those that are interested in my wrestling career, this weekend, December 7th, it'll be tomorrow as this episode is coming out, I'll be at International Wrestling Cartel's Pittsburgh Classic event, and I'll be participating in a battle royal for the high stakes title. Ted, it's my first ever battle royal. What advice would you give me heading into this?
You need to have your head on a swivel. You fill that ring up with bodies, and you got to, that's dangerous.
The booker told me about it, and I was like, okay, Battle Royal or Royal Rumble, because there's a difference. And I think I'd prefer the Royal Rumble just because it's timed out, and there's not a bunch of guys starting in the ring. He's like, nope, it's a Battle Royal. I'm like, okay. Well,
it's everybody's in there, and when they ring the bell, I would always go and get in a corner, because if you get in a corner, nobody can get behind you.
Right. That's the move. That's the move.
Yeah, so everything's got to come to you.
It's funny, man. There's going to be whatever.
And especially a corner, because if you just get on the ropes, then somebody else could come along, and grab you and help somebody else throw you over the top rope.
Right.
You might have that one rope to hang on, but if you're in the corner, you got two ropes to hang on to, pal.
See, my plan is that I'm just going to get in there and hide behind people until it's down to like 4 or 5 guys, and then I'll start. But no, man, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And again, that high stakes title's on the line, so I'm going to get in there and beat the shit out of everybody else in the Battle Royal, Ted. It is going to be funny, though. 30 guys starting out all at once. It is going to be a wild scene.
30?
I believe it's 30 men in this battle royal, and 1 woman, by the way. So 29 men, 1 woman in this battle royal, and we're all just gunning for a championship belt. So
my gosh.
Should be fun. So yeah, there's that. But then also the next weekend, December 14th, I'm wrestling in a singles match in Altoona, Pennsylvania for Imagine Wrestling. This is going to be their biggest show of the year. They're an awesome organization. I'm really thrilled to be part of the card. If you're local to this area or the surrounding areas, please be sure to check out both shows. But remember, if you can't be at the IWC show in person, you can always watch it on Triller TV. Ted, I just mentioned Altoona, Pennsylvania there, and I know that the WWF used to run at the Jaffa Mosque, I believe, for house shows. Do you have any memories of working in Altoona?
Yes.
Lay it on me.
Jaffa Mosque. Yeah, I've been there a few times. Yeah. Not one of my favorite places to go, but
And why is that?
well, the Jaffa Mosque. I mean, it's not a enormous building, so it was kind of like one of those spot show places. I think.
Yes, it was. It was one of the house show locations. They never filmed anything there.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you should say that because I brought this up. I recorded with Jake yesterday, and I brought it up to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I hated working in Altoona." And I was like, "Why?" And he said, "We could fill the place up hanging from the rafters, and my payoff was still going to be shit because that building was so small."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jake just Jake actually voiced what I would have said.
he can sum it up pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, before we do get into these listener questions, I do have one more question from me. And it's a question that, again, I recently got for Jake on Ask Jake Anything, and I thought it would be great to hear your answer to this one. Somebody asked, and I'll have to look it up and give him credit online or something, but somebody asked, if you had to select between getting a run as Vince's WWF champion or a run as the traveling NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, which one would you select?
Okay. I'm not real sure money-wise what the NWA World Champion got, as opposed to Vince's. But I mean, of course, when Vince first started his big move, he wasn't going national yet. The territory was still the old New York territory when he started. And obviously that, he expanded, but, gosh, it's kind of like, that's hard for me because, I remember when Harley Race was the NWA World Champion. And was going from territory to territory and everything. And I remember him saying to me, he said, buddy, he says, one day this belt's going to be around your waist.
Yeah.
And of course, that never came to pass. And of course, never came to, well, number one, everything in wrestling changed and it all went, like to Vince. Now, then then we do the thing. I have the match with Savage at WrestleMania 4, and he wins and he becomes the champion. And it just seems like the one thing that I never did that I would have loved to have done was be a world champion. But here's the more important thing. You got to look at this from the business aspect of it.
Yes.
It's kind of like, what's going to make you more money? And I reasoned, and again, Pat Patterson is the guy who came to me and said, Ted, he says, originally this is what we're going to do. We're going to do. And he said, and he says, quite frankly, he says, the fans that are watching are going to expect that to happen. They're going to expect you to come out of this thing because we've been pushing you. I mean, prior to WrestleMania 4, the new big heel was me.
Yep.
And they almost expect it to happen. And he says the other thing that's really good to do in wrestling is throw them a curveball. Something they never see coming. And that's what we did by having the last two guys in the ring. Instead of it being me and Hogan, it was me and Randy Savage. Hogan got eliminated. And so, Randy wins, he becomes the champion. And then the other thing that Pat reminded me of, he says, here's the other thing, Ted, he says, if you were a babyface, you'd have the belt a long time. He says, but you're not a baby face, you're a heel. And because you're a heel and because, it was almost like, and actually Randy was he was a heel too when we had the match, but it's almost like I turned him baby face.
Yep.
If you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And it's like, so, that's the deal, is what are you going to make more money doing or being? Yeah, you might have the belt for a little while, and yeah, but you're not going to, again, because of the new way that we were looking at wrestling. Vince was trying to draw in not just, he was trying to appeal to children too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why all the action figures and the video games and all that stuff, came along. And so, with that said, he says, his bottom line is, where are you going to make more money? And I said, long term, by just being the heel that I am. So,
yep. And it was, to your point, it was a babyface territory, which means historically, the baby faces are the ones who are holding the belt while the heel chases.
yeah,
And so, I mean, take a look across the WWE for decades. That was their formula.
yeah,
Babyface holds the belt, heel chases it. Heel might get it off them briefly, but it's
yeah,
kind of like a transition period.
yeah.
Uh,
And that's it. A heel champion is a transitional champion.
yep.
He's going to have it for a short time, but then he's going to drop it to the next baby face. And so, and then again, Pat's, his take on it was right. So now back to, if I had been, if wrestling had changed the way it did, as an NWA guy, I would certainly want to be the world champion, because back in those days, the world champion was a heel
Mm-hmm.
in every territory except the one he came from. It's like, okay, Harley Race. Harley Race, basically, his territory was, Kansas and Missouri. The deal. He was a partner with Bob Geigel, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Was it Buck Robley there?
But no. Pat O'Connor.
Ah,
And so Harley, the only place that Harley was a baby face was in that territory, in the Kansas City territory, which was all of Kansas and not Louisiana, Illinois, St. Louis, Illinois, was part of that territory.
mm-hmm.
So those were the only places where he was babyface. Every place else he was a heel, because what's the deal? You groom a new babyface, and that territory's got their hero, and they want to see their hero become champion, and thus that's why the world champion was always a heel, except in his own territory.
It worked better for storytelling. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to your point, Harley and Flair and Terry Funk, and I assume Jack Briscoe was also working heel as a champion. They would go to these smaller territories, and they would maybe not lose to the guy because they don't want to lose their championship, but they'd screw him over in some way, or it'd be a time limit draw or something.
Oh yeah, 99% of the time it was a time limit draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the end, but it was a time limit draw. But as the match ended, it ended in such a way as the people left going, "Dang, our guy! If he just had 5 more minutes or whatever,
he would have had him.
He would have had him." So anyway.
One of the guys that Harley helped to make look really good along the way was a guy that I bring up here and just brought up a couple times, Jake Roberts. Jake was working in the Calgary territory with Stu Hart, and Harley Race came to the territory. Jake got to wrestle him. They went for an hour to a time limit and really kind of helped to establish Jake and got him signed by Bill Watts as he was starting the new Mid-South territory.
Well, and again, that was about, to your point, I was, I started for Bill Watts in Mid-South. Jake wasn't, when I first knew Jake, I think they called him Fred Platt.
He was a ref. Yeah.
He was a ref. And so, but then when I went back to Amarillo, I was, a baby face, and then Harley came through there. That's where Harley told me. He said, Ted, he says, if I have anything to do with it, he says, one day you're going to be wearing this belt.
Man, it's the belt is so prestigious. Even to this day, it's man. Obviously, it doesn't mean quite what it used to. Billy Corgan's running the NWA, and that belt, the 10 pounds of gold, is his featured title. But one of the guys who was training me is also a referee, and he reffed a match for that. And he was saying what an incredible feeling it was just to be the ref and to hold that belt up at the beginning of it. It's the 10 pounds of gold. So it's this really prestigious belt. So all that being said, Ted, if money wasn't a factor, obviously, if you're the WWF champion with Vince's machine, you're going to make a shitload of money as his champion. But if money wasn't a factor, would you rather be the NWA champion or the WWF champion? Which one to you is more prestigious?
Wow. It's hard to just flat out make, because it's like, in some ways it's like we're maybe comparing apples to oranges here, because again, the NWA world champion was defended in like 5 or 6 or 7, whatever, however many territories in the country that were affiliated with the NWA. Mm-hmm. You see, Vern Gagne in Minnesota, they weren't part of the NWA. They were the AWA, because Vern Gagne wanted to be the champion of his own territory. And so I don't know. Like back in that day when all of wrestling was regional, I would say absolutely, hands down, the NWA World Heavyweight title was the most prestigious. But now, you get the WWF, which is now the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, or World Wrestling,
entertainment.
And you know the story about that, why they had to change their name?
Because of World Wildlife Fund?
Yeah, the World Wildlife, Federation. But they were the original WWF. So, anyway. But, once Vince was established nationally, and then obviously internationally, it would be, it'd be great for the, then I would have loved to have had that belt, because, you're the guy.
Nowadays, if you are the WWE champion, like Cody Rhodes is right now, it's essentially saying you're the champion of all of wrestling in the world, because we're talking about the biggest wrestling product in the world. So if you're their champion, in theory, you're the champion of professional wrestling.
Is Cody a good guy or a bad guy?
Cody's a good guy. It's a babyface territory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't like it because it's not so much, obviously it is selling tickets, but it's also, it's like selling merchandise. It's kind of like you want your champion to be the hero for the little kids, so they can go out and buy the action figures and all that stuff, but the flip side of that is, I had a lot of action figures too. Why? Because the good guys got to have somebody to wrestle.
Yep.
And that was it. So,
okay, guys, let's take a quick minute to talk about our great sponsor, BlueChew. Let me tell you guys, I get asked about BlueChew all the time, and the question is pretty much always the same. Does it actually work? Well, look, if you're asking that question, it's time for you to find out for yourself if BlueChew is working. They put their money where their mouth is, pal, because they're giving you a month for free. There is nothing worse than when you get into the bedroom, you're ready to go, your partner's ready to go, but you look down and your little pal down there is just staring at the carpet. Let's get that guy back to work with BlueChew. BlueChew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. BlueChew tablets are made right here in the good old US of A and prepared and shipped direct to your door. You want to know the best part? It's done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no weird, awkward, uncomfortable conversations anymore, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready when that opportunity arises. We have all heard the saying, it's important to have confidence. People like confidence. Women like confidence. And if you're going into the bedroom without confidence, you are not going to perform well. It's not going to be a fun experience. Why not give yourself an opportunity to leave a lasting impression on your partner? Who knows? It might just be the best sex of your life that you've been missing out on. Come on, time to take advantage. Try it for a month for free and see for yourself. I think that you're going to love it. And I think more importantly, your partner's going to love it. BlueChew has told me this themselves. They want men rock hard. They've been saying that. That's their mission. They will not stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house, till every tent is pitched, till every rod is raised. It's time to discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our audience. Try BlueChew free. Just pay $5 shipping at checkout when you visit BlueChew.com. That's BlueChew.com to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we want to thank BlueChew for sponsoring Everybody's Got a Pot. All right, we can jump into these listener questions. The first one that we've got this week is from Jason Petiti, who asks, I think that's how you say his name. He asks, what other character would you have chosen for yourself instead of the $1 Million Man if you had the opportunity? That's kind of a tough one, but Ted, let's say that Vince gives you the reins and says, hey, what do you want to do now that I'm bringing you here to the WWF? Anything jump to mind?
I can't think of any. I mean, it was kind of like I never envisioned myself as a character, like I wasn't a cowboy, but I mean, the only time I was a cowboy was prior to going to the WWE. I teamed up with Stan Hansen.
I was going to say, you were a cowboy there for a minute.
Stan Hansen, in Japan, he went to the ring, with the cowboy hat and the chaps and the vest. And so when I became his partner, boom, I jumped right in and I had chaps and the vest and the whole deal. That's the only other time that I was anything other than just Ted DiBiase. And so, I just wanted to be Ted DiBiase, the wrestler, not, I don't know, old school.
And
Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr. and those guys, they were just who they were. It's kind of like Harley Race, they were just wrestlers.
I know that the WWF was this over-the-top character territory, but I don't know. I think that you as a heel with the loaded glove and maybe even start a new little Rat Pack up there, I think it could have been something really cool.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to hear listeners weigh in. So if you have an opinion on what character Ted could have been or should have been aside from the $1 Million Man in the WWF, I would love to hear anybody's opinion online. So hit us up online. We'll talk about it on the next episode if you do. Jay McMichael is up next. This is a good question. What is the seediest motel you've ever stayed in while you were on the road?
Oh my gosh. There's a hotel in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I don't know if it's still there. I pray and hope to God that it's not. But it was right on Airline Drive. So if anybody out there listening is from Baton Rouge, it was on Airline Drive. And it was called the 10 Flags Inn. It was a motel, and oh my gosh, no, just I just had to make sure that my sheets were clean every time I stayed there. Hey, back in the day, you're trying to save money because you're not on a guarantee.
I've heard some guys say that it was a contest at times to see who could get the cheapest hotel. Like you'd come in the next day with your receipt and be like, "Hey, check it out! I spent $5 to stay at this place last night." But man, I cannot imagine some of the dumps that you'd have to sleep in trying to do that.
No. yeah, that was, I mean, that was the one that was probably more than any other, the one in Baton Rouge. And because when I came back to Baton Rouge, when I came back to Mid-South, I had come back from Georgia
Mm-hmm.
to work for Bill Watts again. And, now that, and I had met Melanie in April of that year, and Melanie came with me. And so I got a nice apartment.
So you didn't have to worry about crashing in a terrible hotel then.
No.
And then you become the $1 Million Man. And it's the 5-star hotel treatment. So things went okay for
Hey,
you.
orders from headquarters. It's like,
I just want our listeners to imagine how much respect there must have been for you from the boys during this period of time when you became the $1 Million Man. Because just picture it from the other guy's perspective. Ted DiBiase's coming in the door. You are piling into a shitty Ford Taurus or whatever, and you've got to go find a hotel room for yourself. Ted DiBiase's going to the same town, but he's going in a limo, and then he gets to stay in a 5-star hotel that night. Like, boy, most people would have a lot of heat with the boys, but not you. You had the respect.
and it's one of those things that I kind of worried about it. I said, Vince said, you could probably, you'd probably be one of the hottest heels we've ever had. And I said, yeah, with the fans and maybe with the rest of the guys in the locker room. But it wasn't. Number one, I already had a reputation of being a good wrestler. It wasn't, there was no doubt in anybody's mind that I could go. And so I think that helped as well. And, I mean, a lot of the guys would say, they said, hey, if I'd have got that shot, who wouldn't take that? It was offered. Yeah. And so there wasn't a lot of heat. So.
And it's again, it's like you're Ted DiBiase coming in the door. Everybody knows who you are. You've established this reputation across the territories and in Japan. So it's like to the boys, it's not like here's some guy we don't even know. He's coming in and getting the treatment. It's like, oh, Ted DiBiase's coming in and he's getting the treatment. Okay. Next up, we've got Tim, who asks, "What did you think of the Tatanka character, and did he fit with the $1 Million Corporation?"
Tatanka,
the Native American character.
It's hardly. Who else was part of that group?
Well, it was kind of like a rotating cast of folks, but it was like him and King Kong Bundy, and you'd have Kama, the ultimate fighting machine, and trying to think of the other guys. It was like Nikolai Volkov for a brief period of time. Then you'd get Sid and like the 1, 2, 3 Kid, Bam Bam Bigelow. It was like the Island of Misfit Toys over there. It's like none of these guys have any similar look. None of their gear looks the same. They just all got paid off by the $1 Million Man.
So what was it? Back to the original question.
Oh yeah, what did you think of the character Tatanka, and did you feel like he was a good fit with the $1 Million Corporation?
Well, Tatanka, I mean, another character, but a Native American Indian, and why not? I mean, it's kind of like you're not looking for somebody that's going to look like you, talk like you, everybody's got to bring something different to the table, and him being Native American, and working it plus the reality of it,
Yeah. We've got Jolly Homer up next, and I think that's how you say the name. It's weird spelling. He asks, "Are you friends with the Undertaker? Do you have any stories? Are you like good friends with Mark outside the ring?"
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, from day one. I mean, Mark is one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. He really is, and that's what's so funny about the character is. I mean, eventually, obviously, at the beginning, this guy is going to be, and he was a big heel, but it was kind of like, it's hard to explain. But you're a heel if you're a tough guy heel. In other words, I would cheat. I would, have the foreign object or whatever, hiding that and all that stuff. But if it became obvious to me that, let's see, who was it? Gosh.
Are you trying to think of a chicken shit heel?
Yeah.
Trying to think.
Well, I'll put it that way. Okay, that's who I was. I was the guy who talked big, and then when I got in the ring, and and somebody, I get, I'm the guy that gets down in the corner, and I'm going, no, but looking for where I can take my cheap shot. That's the chicken shit heel. You never get tired of seeing that guy get beat. Never.
Right.
But if you're like Steve Austin was a tough guy heel. He started as a heel, but the fans turned him babyface because why? Because everybody likes a tough guy. Yep. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that was a tough guy heel. But
I mean, Taker's a good example of it.
Well, yeah. There you go. You didn't see him bowing down to anybody or begging off and all that stuff. But again, the ones that you can count on to just be hated all the time, or the boasters and the braggers, and you get them in the ring and they're going, "Don't hurt me, don't hurt me."
As soon as the going gets tough, they all turn into cowards. It's just good storytelling.
Yeah.
Calvin Hammond asks, who's the greatest heel manager of all time, aside from you, Ted?
Oh my gosh. Heel manager. Yeah.
I would have to believe that Bobby Heenan's up there, right?
Now there was a guy that, my dad never had a manager, but he did for a while. The guy's name was, they called it, it was a wrestling name. They called him Jack Kane, but he was a pretty hot manager, but that was pre WWF and everything. And not too many people would remember that. But I would say Heenan.
It's hard to argue with that
because and again, same thing. He would get on TV and he would brag about the people he represented and everything. But whenever he got in the ring and got in trouble, what would he do? He'd run and hide.
I loved Freddie Blassie too, Captain Lou Albano. I mean, there have been a lot of really great heel managers over the years.
Yeah.
But no, I think that Heenan, hard to beat that one, man. His over-the-top personality, his quick wit, and then the fact that not only was he a manager, but he was also one of a color commentator. Just like kind of put him front and center and made him featured more than anybody else ever could have been.
Yeah.
All right. Ian is up next. Who is the best payoff guy and who is the worst?
Well, I would have to say, obviously, once I went to the WWF, the best payoff guy was Vince McMahon because he was the only payoff guy.
Mm-hmm.
Once, and if you asked Jake this question, he would say hands down the worst payoff guy was Bill Watts.
He might say Fritz Von Erich though too. He said he about starved while he was in Dallas.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is I never worked for Fritz.
Ted, one of the things that I always hear is the horror stories from wrestlers. Whenever they'd go to a different territory, you get called and asked to work in a territory. You'd show up, you'd do your match after the show. You go to the promoter, you got your hand out, and the promoter says, house was a little bit late tonight, but what I can do for you is get you a Diet Coke and a hot dog. Which I've heard that actually Arn Anderson said that I think his first wrestling payoff was 4 hot dogs. So, Ted, did you ever experience that?
Never.
Never.
And I think probably one of the reasons is because I grew up in the business, and I knew more about the, like a lot of guys that are fresh that are fans, and that's how they eventually become a wrestler, is because they were a fan first.
Yep.
And so they don't really know how it works. And, because I knew how it worked, and I knew that, it was almost kind of like the first time I went to Kansas City. It was kind of like, I think I asked for a guarantee, and I can't remember what it was. It was not huge, that's for sure. The guarantee, but there was some lean years for sure. But I don't know.
So you took it more of like you took a different approach, where a lot of guys, it's like, hey, you come in and you just get paid what you get paid by the promoter. But in your case, you were smart because you'd been in the business for a while. So like in the case with Kansas City, you'd say, yeah, I'll come in, but you've got to give me this amount.
Yeah, I've got to have at least whatever it was, $200 or $300 a week. And of course, Kansas City, Bob Geigel had been a good friend of my dad's. That's the only other thing that was to my advantage. A lot of the promoters that I worked for had my father had worked for, and my father was very much respected. And because I'm not like a dumbass, and I'm very respectful and what have you. It was not hard for me to, I don't know.
Another factor that maybe we aren't considering here is also the fact that you were really tight with the Funks, Terry Funk and Dory. And so I think that probably most promoters that would bring you in would know, if we screw this kid on his payoff, it's probably going to burn the bridge with the Funks as well. So that might be part of why you got good treatment throughout your career too.
Yeah, it might. It might be, but but pretty much because I mean, the booker oftentimes decides. I don't know if he's the one that Bill Watts. Everybody knew that Bill was the payoff guy. And depending on where you were on the card, that's what you would get. And of course, that old saying is a squeaky wheel gets greased.
Yep.
And if you don't complain, then you're liable to get screwed. So I never really complained, but I let my work speak for itself. And I don't know. I mean, I got some pretty good, I got booked in St. Louis when I was very, it was kind of like St. Louis was a town that was and it was an entity. It was technically it was part of the Kansas City territory, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. It's like it's almost like St. Louis is right on the line there. Part of it's in Illinois, and part of it's in Kansas, and so the guys that got the big payoff in St. Louis were the main event, and I got a lot of main event payoffs, and everybody got paid that night, and everybody got paid in cash.
Okay, guys, we're hitting the pause button real quick so I can talk to you about our sponsor, True Classic. Guys, I love True Classic. Man, these clothes are so comfortable. They fit me so well, and I get so many compliments. They've got a lifelong customer in me, and I know that you're going to feel the same way if you give this product a try. You guys remember those days of going through puberty, right? And trying to find clothes that fit you properly, not too tight in some places, not too loose in other places. Well, I'm coming to find that as I get older, that struggle kind of returns in many ways, especially if you're rocking a bit of a dad bod. Well, True Classic has eliminated the struggle because they've got clothing that fits right. Not too big, not too tight, and clothes that are versatile enough for everything on your agenda this fall. Seriously, if you guys are going to try to find clothes that fit you like this, you're going to end up having to get them personally tailored, and that is unbelievably expensive. Why don't you get the tailored look from True Classic and not spend a whole boatload of money to get there? We are talking about t-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. And hey, fall is here. It's starting to get a little bit brisk outside. They got you covered. How about long sleeve Henleys, waffle hoodies, jeans, button-ups, joggers, and more? And these are all premium products at an affordable price. True Classic knows what you want in clothing. We all want the clothes that are snug around the arms and the chest, really kind of emphasize the way that those look, but give you a lot of space around the middle so you don't feel like everything you're wearing is skin tight. Okay, I got to stand up real quick and show you guys the shirt that I'm wearing. This is for my active wear. I'm actually getting ready to go do a workout right now at the gym. It's moisture wicking, it's quick dry, and it's odor controlled. And look at how great it fits me. Emphasizes my arms and my chest, covers up the middle, and makes me look and feel amazing. Whatever your lifestyle is, you can mix and match your clothing to fit right in. And if by chance you don't like what you've gotten, there's a 100% perfect fit guarantee and easy returns. I have a feeling that you are going to like it though, because this product is trusted by over 4 million customers and has, get this, over 200,000 reviews. It's time, guys. The holidays are here, and True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials make for the perfect gift for you and the men in your life. So, if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now and unlock big savings during their huge holiday sale. Just go to my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/EGAP to save. That's trueclassic.com/EGAP. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. End the year with holiday cheer thanks to True Classic. Next question is from Darren Bernard, who asks, would Ted have been willing, this is a pretty funny question, would Ted have been willing to take the Mandible Claw from Mick Foley? I always thought it was gross. Ted, are you familiar with that finishing hold for Mick Foley?
No.
That is where he would take these two fingers and put them into your mouth underneath your tongue and compress the area under there. It was a hold that was actually used by the guy. You remember that movie, The Fugitive, with Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
So the real story about that is about a guy who, same thing, he was a doctor. He was chased by the law. It was discovered that he was innocent. And his career afterwards was he became a professional wrestler. And that was his finishing maneuver, the Mandible Claw. And Mick Foley adopted that finishing maneuver and has been using it, ever since.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in a nutshell, Ted, some guy's taking two of his fingers and shoving them in your mouth to get you to submit. Would you have been willing to allow that to happen?
No.
You'd have told Mick, hey, let's get to the finish.
Hey, you know what? Your hands touch everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to let especially some wrestler,
sweaty big dude
who may have just gone to the bathroom and wiped his ass. I'm not going to let that guy stick anything in my mouth.
Are you familiar with Mick Foley's Mr. Socko thing that he was doing as well?
Yeah.
The idea was it was like his dirty sock, so he'd put the sock on first and then give people the Mandible Claw.
Yeah, I love Mick, but Mick, not here.
Let's find a different way to get to the finish, Mick. Kevin the Showstopper reached out to my DMs on X and he asked, was there ever a plan for your character to go broke? I think it would have been interesting. The $1 Million Man going broke, was that ever brought up?
No.
Oh, man.
No. It's like, the only way I could have ever seen that story going anywhere is that if somehow, if something happens and I'm going broke, but who comes along to show me a better way? But some baby face, like, hey, you know what, Ted? Things happen for a reason. Da, 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 you know what? But anyway, yeah. But
So
no,
if you were going to be turned, that could be a good storytelling device to turn you babyface.
yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Make me more appreciative.
I like it. Get some sympathy on you as well. It's like, this guy had it all and lost it.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
Next up, go ahead.
That could have been a good program with somebody.
Where the rubber really meets the road is you do that for maybe 6 months where you've gone broke, and then you turn heel again and say that you've reclaimed all your money. You made a really good investment, and you're rich again, and then you're back to being an asshole. Could have been really fun. We've got Gert de Krom next, and they ask, any fond memories of the greatest ring announcer of all time, Howard Finkel?
Howard was a good guy, and I obviously I knew Howard from the very beginning. My very first time I went to New York, Howard was there then, and Howard was there. I mean, wow, I think throughout my career, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was there the whole time.
He was the guy, yeah, and a good guy. Real good, real nice, likable person. But yeah, the Fink, he was good, one of the best.
Now, I'm not sure if you would have ever seen it, but rumor has it that Fink was the victim of a few mean-spirited ribs from Mr. McMahon, the chairman, where Vince would just kind of do mean shit to Fink sometimes just to mess with him. Have you ever heard about that?
No, but I mean, I could see that. I could see that happening. I mean, obviously, because Howard Finkel had been with the company. I mean, the other thing that Vince really respected is loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody was more loyal than Finkel. He was there when Vince McMahon Sr. was there.
Mm.
And he stayed there. He never went, and he never went anywhere else. And again, loyalty is something that Vince, respects. So, yeah, I could see him, ribbing Howard because they're friends. You know what? You're not going to play like a bad rib on somebody that that you don't like. Somebody, you might end up in a fight.
Right. I can't picture Fink trying to fight Vince, but you never know. The one that I had always heard, and this is a really funny one. I'm not sure if you've ever heard the story, but there was that really famous angle on Raw during the early days where Shawn Michaels and Mr. Perfect get into a brawl outside of the arena, and one of them ends up going through a car windshield during this brawl.
Yeah.
Apparently that was Howard Finkel's car, and nobody told him this was happening.
I could see that.
now that's a rib.
That's a rib.
All right, we will do 2 more, and then we'll get out of here. Next question is Gordon Jespers, I think is how you say it, and they ask, I just heard a story about Ted pulling a prank on Arn Anderson on his final night with the WWF. Can Ted tell the story? So, Ted, I researched this and found out what they were talking about. Do you remember pulling a prank on Arn Anderson?
I was not one to do a lot of ribbing like that, but I mean, Arn was a very good friend. I may have, but for the life of me, can't remember what it was.
All right, let me try to refresh your memory a little bit before I give it away. It had to do with one of your fraternity buddies from college named Mad Dog.
Okay. Yeah, Mad Dog was like the. He wasn't. I don't think he was a fraternity brother, but he was the. It's like the guy, that was in the locker room that, washed the towels, and
Equipment manager.
he was equipment manager. That's what Mad Dog was. I mean, and I think he was. You know what? He may have been a member of my fraternity. Can't for the life of me remember what I did.
So apparently Mad Dog had a prosthetic ear.
Yes. Yes.
And go ahead, I'll let you finish.
I remember he did have his prosthetic ear, and so I got him to sit down, right next to Arn, right? And he's sitting next to Arn, and he goes, two, like that. His ear comes off and lands right in the middle of Arn's plate. Oh
my gosh,
that was really good,
dude. Too good. It's such a funny story, and what a unique rib. Now the version that Arn had told. Now maybe this happened, the ear coming off on somebody's plate. Maybe that happened on another occasion. The one that Arn told about his final night was that I think that somebody dropped the ear into his drink when he wasn't looking, and he went and took a drink of it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. No, I did the rib with Mad Dog to a lot of different people.
Okay.
But for Arn, that was it. We were out at whatever, and then Arn went to the bathroom or something. I said, Mad Dog, give me your ear, give me your ear. So he gives me the ear and put it at the bottom of a glass, put ice on the glass, and and made it so. And I said, here, Arn, here's your drink, buddy. And I kept toasting, right? And I said, I'm not toasting. And so finally it goes like this, and it's like he goes. When he saw that, he wanted to die.
What a story. What a great rib. Arn has a famously weak stomach too, so I think that he wound up throwing up when he saw it.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Dude, such a good rib. All right, this will be
priceless.
That one's gonna be hard to beat, but this will be our last question for the week. Chad is up next, and he asks, what athlete do you think would have been great if he made the full-time jump to professional wrestling? Anybody stick out for you, Ted?
Like an athlete from another sport?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It'd be hard to say. I mean, because it's like, I don't know. You can look at an athlete who's a lot of the crossovers were guys that came from football.
Yeah.
I'm going to go way back. There's a very famous middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears. His name was Dick Butkus.
Oh, could you imagine that?
And Dick Butkus could have been the baddest heel in the land if he'd ever crossed over. I mean, I had a poster of him in my bedroom on the wall. I had Butkus, and then Ray Nitschke.
Oh yeah,
who was played for the Packers, and we're trying to think who the other one was. I think the other one was Bob Lilly, but he was a guard for the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, Butkus was the man, though, buddy. I tell you what,
that one's tough to beat as far as a good crossover. Dick Butkus coming into the world of wrestling. Oh man, that would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been.
Now, the first name I'll say that stuck out to me as soon as I read that question was, you remember Brian Bosworth?
Yeah.
With his look and his crazy personality, size. Yeah. Like, imagine if he had said, hey, I'm not going to go to the NFL. I'm going to join the WWF right during the peak of Hulkamania. Could you imagine?
Wow.
It would have been something.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Him or like a Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson after he retired from boxing, like just that kind of vicious personality he had. Holy shit. What a
Well,
great
Tyson did that thing.
with DX.
Yeah.
He was great in that role too.
Yeah. He did that, and I got to, he was a pretty likable guy.
You did get to meet Mike?
Yeah.
Man, so you met Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, two of the best to ever do it.
Got a, where is it? It's right there.
Picture of you and Ali?
Yeah. Well, It's not a picture of me and him. It's a picture of him that he just said to Ted.
All right. The greatest of all time.
There you go.
Man, that's a good way to wrap up our episode of Ask Ted Anything. Guys, thank you so much for all of the questions you submitted, and always submit for this. Please, by all means, again, reach out to me on X, Marcus P. D'Angelo. Submit more questions. Also, go out of your way to follow Ted on his social media. He's active all across social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and the handle on all of them is MDM Ted DiBiase. So get over there, give Ted a follow, and keep up to date on what's going on with him. But Ted, as always, this was a really fun episode. I love doing these. I love getting to answer fan questions, and we'll be back next week with a new episode. Well, actually, no, you've got something going on next week, right? You have to go to surgery.
A week. Ooh, wow. I forgot. A week from yesterday, I'm having surgery, and it's hard to explain. But it has to do with blood flow and kind of like, I said, well, where do they have to make an incision? And I said, I hope you're not gonna, not my groin. And he said, no. He says, actually, it would be above, it'd be like, like maybe either like just below my navel or just above, somewhere in that area. And I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but it has something to do with the blood circulation in my left leg, and how, like if I get a bruise down there, it just stays forever.
So okay, so they've got to be addressing like whatever the artery that's in your left leg, like that main artery. So okay, so well, hey man, what you got to do what you got to do to stay healthy. So by all means, get that done, and we'll roll out some kind of a fun best of for our listeners next week, and then we'll be back in action the week after, folks.
Yeah, you bet. Sounds like a winner. Hey, Marcus, once again, thank you so much for bringing so many of these things from my past back to light, to where I have a chance to comment on them or not comment on them. But and to all you fans, thanks for being a fan. But always remember this: everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
We'll catch you guys next time right here on Everybody's Got a Pod. $1 Million Dream, tell them all good night. Everybody's got a pod.